tell you what's going on, really. Let me take a few minutes to bore you. You ready to be bored? Because the issue that I'm going to talk about now is not a sexy issue, but it is an issue of enormous consequence, which impacts every man, woman, and child in our country. Right now, as I think you know, the government is set for a government shutdown on January 19th if Democrats and Republicans don't get together to work out some kind of agreements. I hope very much that we can prevent a government shutdown, because nobody's going to win on that. A lot of people are going to be hurt, not accessing government services. Government workers are going to lose their paychecks, and the armed forces are going to be hurt. So we don't want to do that. But I think we have to stand up to Republicans who control the government, who have to understand they cannot get it all. What the Republicans are now proposing is to spend over a 2-year period something like $100 billion more on the military. That is an astronomical sum of money, the largest increase in military spending in the modern history of this country. But then at the same time, what Senator Mitch McConnell, the Republican leader, is proposing is to do away with the concept of parity and not spend that kind of money on the needs of working families in this country. So it may not seem like a very important issue, but it is a huge issue, because if we don't get the funding that we need, we're not going to be adequately funding the CHIP program, that's the Children's Health Insurance Program. We're not going to be adequately funding the Community Health Center program. 27 million people in this country get their primary health care through community health centers. There are about 1.5 million Americans who are about to lose a significant part of the pensions that they were promised. Last year, 10,000 people with disabilities in this country died while awaiting the Social Security Administration to process their claims. Can you imagine that? 10,000 people dying, and they're waiting for the Social Security Administration to do what it's supposed to do, but can't do because of inadequate funding and understaffing. Veterans are not getting the timely and quality care they need at the VA. Care is, in general, pretty good, but we got 30,000 vacancies at the VA, and I think it's time that we filled those vacancies. I don't have to tell anybody who is watching about the crisis we have in student debt. This is an issue that we have got to address. People's lives should not be significantly harmed for the crime of getting a higher education. And everybody who studies the issue understands that there's no social investment more significant than putting money into early childhood education. Kids do better in school, more likely to do better in life. When we talk about demanding that every dollar that goes to the military goes to domestic needs, to the needs of working families, this is what we're talking about. Issue number 2, and that is something that to me is one of the great moral issues, if you like, of our time. We have now some 800,000 young people in this country, dreamers. These are young people who were brought to this country by their parents who crossed the border, who came to this country at the age of 1, 2, 3, who have lived here their entire lives, who have known no other country. And if we don't get our act together, these people will lose that status and face the prospect of deportation. It seems to me that that would be one of the worst, most cruel things that has ever happened in the modern history of this country. The other area that is out there, which is also enormously important, and it is just incredible how the Republicans who control the House, the Senate, and the White House have really abdicated their governing responsibility. They're not governing. You got disaster relief. Everybody knows the terrible hurricanes that we had a number of months ago. I just met on a plane literally the other day, 2 days ago, a young man from Puerto Rico. Still doesn't have electricity. Still doesn't have electricity. Lives outside of San Juan. Virgin Islands, the same thing. Texas needs help. Florida needs help. We need disaster relief. So that is kind of where we are, and that's what's going on right now. There's a lot of stuff that's going on. These are pressing crises facing our country, and they have to be dealt with, and I intend to do everything I can to make sure they are dealt with.